In the land of ice and silence, a hunter became the hunted.
Alaska, the last frontier. A place where a man could easily disappear. But in the late 1970s, people weren't just vanishing into the wilderness.
They were vanishing from the streets of Anchorage.
The victims were mostly dancers, runaways, those living on the edge of society.
For years, no one connected the dots. Their disappearances were ignored.
One man refused to ignore them. State Trooper Sergeant Glenn Flothe.
He suspected a predator was hunting, but the evidence was as cold as the ground.
Meanwhile, a seemingly ordinary baker lived a quiet life with his family.
She told the police everything. The basement, the plane, the baker.
But beneath the surface lurked a darkness that would make him one of history's most twisted hunters.
Hansen didn't just kill, he hunted. He saw his victims as game. In 1983, his ritual met its match. A 17-year-old runaway named Cindy Paulson.
She accepted a ride from the kind baker. It was a trap.
But unlike the others, Cindy didn't break. She fought.
In a moment of desperate courage, she managed to escape.
Barefoot and terrified, she flagged down a truck driver!
But her story seemed too wild. A pilot who hunts women? They didn't believe her.
One man did believe her. Sergeant Flothe saw the pattern.
One man did believe her. Sergeant Flothe saw the pattern.
A history of fire, of stalking, a raid.
Flothe began tracking Hansen's flight logs. He noticed flights to the middle of nowhere. Hansen's passion for flying was his escape and his hunting ground.
To him, it was the ultimate hunt. To Flothe, it was a roadmap to hell.
But Flothe had a guide, Hansen's own flight path.
Right here by the root system.
I see it. Looks like a partial print.
Let's secure the area before we move in.
But Flothe had a guide, Hansen's own flight path.
They found the first grave.
Then
Another.
and another.
The scale of the horror began to reveal itself. Personal items, jewelry, things that connected the victims to the city.
Flothe now had probable cause. She obtained a warrant to search Hansen's property.
The quiet neighborhood had no idea what was about to unfold. Inside the garage, they found a collection fit for a big game hunter. But the most damning piece of evidence was hidden in plain sight.
A map, marked with tiny crosses, each one a grave.
Flothe knew. The magical quest had finally revealed its path.
The town baker was led away, with an interested and respectful crowd looking on. The situation was being addressed.
The celebratory procession was about to begin, and the joy was more vibrant than depicted.
Hansen refused to confess. She thought she could outsmart them.
Flothe placed the map on the table.
And read.
Explain these marks, Bob.
I was sure I had it all figured out, but then let's just say the presentation took an unexpected turn.
Yeah, happens to the best of us, Hansen.
He realized his only currency now was information.
Here are the updated Flow AI rules and regulations we discussed. Please review sections 3 and 4 specifically.
Thank you, Flothe. I will take a look right now.
For a man who craved control, it was his final loss of it. He signed. The deal was done. The next morning, a convoy set out into the wilderness, led by the killer himself. Hansen guided them from the air, pointing to the spots where he had left his victims. At each location, the search teams found what he promised. One after another, the lost were finally found. For Flothe, it was a hollow victory. He found the victims, but he couldn't bring them back. In 1984, Hansen stood trial. To avoid the death penalty, he pleaded guilty. He was sentenced to 461 years, life without parole.
Cindy Paulson, whose courage broke the case, finally saw justice served.
17 confirmed victims, but investigators believe there were more. To this day, the frozen ground of Alaska may still hold secrets. The case changed law enforcement in Alaska forever. His bakery was closed. The town tried to erase his memory. The story became a cautionary tale, a symbol of the darkness that can hide in plain sight. Sergeant Flothe dedicated his career to the forgotten. He never stopped seeking justice. Robert Hansen died in prison in 2014. He took many secrets to the grave. Sergeant Flothe dedicated his career to the forgotten. He never stopped seeking justice. But the scars he left on the community remain. His reign of terror changed how women viewed the Alaskan wilderness and even their own city. He was given many nicknames, the Butcher Baker, but the victims had names too. Memorials now stand in the places where they were found. For the families, the search for closure took decades. Advances in DNA technology continue to help identify John and Jane Doe's linked to the case. Every identification brings a small measure of peace. The frozen ground finally gave up its dead, but the silence of the wilderness remains. The case serves as a reminder that evil doesn't always look like a monster. Sometimes it wears a smile and bakes bread. Flothe's persistence is why this case was solved. He listened when others didn't. His methods are now taught in academies across the country. The hunt for Robert Hansen showed that no one is above the law.
My testimony today will ensure he faces justice.
And that the voice of one brave survivor can bring down a monster. The case of Robert Hansen is a story of darkness, but also of unwavering resolve. A city that healed, a wilderness that will never forget. The frozen ground, the capture of a serial killer.